So I'd have to say that Chris, in all the years that I've known him as a student here at Butler University, he's made a tremendous impact on the campus community. Probably most importantly, it's through the way he has chosen to lead. He's got a lot of energy. He's extremely creative. He takes this leadership style, this energy, this creativity into everything that he's done, in every leadership position that he's held. He also has a great knack for not just letting the standard and things that have happened in the past be the way that we must carry out business. He looks at things, what's happened in the past, the foundations, and says, how can we put a little twist on that? How can we do things a little bit differently? And even more importantly, what are the needs of the students and what my classmates might want moving forward? So one of the other things that I think is extremely important to know and understand about Chris is that he's got an extremely big heart and he cares about people. He's just always in this mode of wanting to give back to others. And I just cherish him as a friend and as a student and as a future alum of the institution.
I got to know Chris through his opportunities working as junior and senior class president. He obviously in those positions has been elected by his peers, so that means that people think that he would do a good job and have faith that he could represent them as well, and that speaks highly of a person. He has a heart for service, which is another great thing for a leader to have, in my opinion. I think that servant leadership is the best way to go about representing a leadership role. He's making a difference in the world, and I think that's a big part of Chris's leadership capabilities and making sure that he's leaving something better than he's left it before.
I worked with Chris this year for our class officers, and I've just been really impressed and really surprised at how proactive he is and how on the ball he is at planning everything. I've just been really surprised at how many awesome ideas he has and just unique things that he wants to plan for our class, and it's just been really nice getting to know him and getting to see his personality a little more.
I'm thankful for Chris's ability to gather his peers together for a common goal, and he's been really great at that, and his leadership skills have been really apparent this semester in working with him, and I've watched him grow as an individual and as a campus leader.
I think that Chris Beaman has made an impact on Butler's campus through his leadership by being such a great, caring, compassionate student leader. You can tell from the very beginning that he is about what is best for others. He pretty much embodies servant leadership, in my view, and he's just a lot of fun to be around.
And I know Chris Beaman through Alternative Spring Break and his involvement in that organization for the past couple of years. But what I appreciated about his participation last year, just as a participant, was that he knew he was going outside his comfort zone. And so he pushed himself and challenged himself. He had certain apprehensions about what he was going into and went ahead and did it anyway. Then this year, with Alternative Spring Break, Chris took an executive board decision, which I was kind of surprised about because I knew that he wasn't so sure about going into things last year, and so I was really excited to see him have a great experience and want to become involved in the group again. He was very organized and had things well thought out and planned, but he was also able to roll with the punches, so that if something came up last minute, he could adjust his plans. If somebody suggested something else fun to do, he said, let's do it. Personally, what I appreciate about Chris is the sense of humor that he brings to situations.
Well, Chris Beaman's leadership has affected me in a very positive way, in the sense that he really exemplifies the Butler way for me. He uses his talents, I think, for the benefit of others. I remember the first time that I met Chris, he was presenting to our Board of Trustees at a luncheon, and I was so impressed by him. For me, he just really affirms our decision to come here to Butler. I think he just exemplifies the very best in a Butler student and in a person.
It's an honor to talk about Chris Beaman and his leadership. It's been fun to watch Chris grow the last 4 years in his leadership, but here's how it's really impacted me. I've watched Chris, as a member of the Dean's Student Advisory Group, embrace the differences in the group. He's brought listening and positivity to the answers to questions that students have, and he's just stepped up. He just took things on his own without me asking him. And I always knew that Chris was coming from a place of genuine care about the college. It's always authentic with him. It's not about Chris, it's about the college. It's about serving his fellow students. What great leaders need to do is broaden their range of impact, and that's what Chris did. He took what was making a difference in the college and saying, maybe I can expand that out across the university. And I know that I'm a better dean, having watched and learned from Chris and with Chris. The college is a better place, the university is a better place, and I can only look forward to what's going to happen in the future for Chris.
To me, Chris Beaman is the epitome of a student leader. And through all of my conversations with him, he's taught me so much about leadership. He's taught me that being a leader is not about giving yourself a title and making that known to everybody. It's more about being who you are.
When I think of Chris Beaman and his leadership, I think of a student at Butler that loves giving of himself. He's a student that never ever will say no. He accepts challenges to better himself, and not only to better himself but also to better other students. He's definitely leaving a legacy behind because he's touched and guided so many other students along his way.
What I love about Chris's leadership style is that he gives people the resources that they need in order to be able to get a job done. I also think that Chris has helped me become a better advisor with his leadership, because he really has at times tried to make sure that he asks those critical questions that as an advisor I need to be good at responding to. And Chris continually brings to the table that level of engagement that pushes you to want to rise your own end of the conversation up and be able to move those kinds of ideas forward. I think the final thing I would say about Chris's leadership style is that I have seen a lot of growth in his leadership during the 4 years here. I appreciate when leaders are, and teachers frankly, are the first person to admit when they've made a mistake at times. And Chris is certainly not necessarily prone to mistakes, but has learned over the years that a lot of bridge building can be built when mistakes are acknowledged, they're embraced, they're learned from, and then you move on and you're a better person because you maybe have gone through whatever it has caused you. And he certainly is deserving of our first leadership certificate.
In some respects, I've come to think of Chris as a grandson, so to speak. He's very passionate about what he's engaged with. I treasure his friendship and his collegiality. He's quite unique. I don't know anybody else that really could compare to Chris. He's incomparable. At the College of Education, Butler University, and I personally have been very fortunate to have the association down through the past 4 years.
It's been a pleasure to get to know Chris even this past year. He was gracious enough to invite me to his initiation that was very well organized. It's been interesting to see him grow and the impact he's had on the chapter. I know he's implemented a new program that involves having chapter members look at educational policy and hot topics from multiple sides, which is a wonderful vehicle for helping pre-service teachers look at issues in terms of critical thinking and making sure they understand the importance as a member of the education profession. And specifically, we had Chris participate in a strategic planning session this spring with the Kappa Delta Pi International Board and some other invited guests. The purpose of Chris being here was to offer that pre-service, that student voice. Chris did an amazing job of providing that voice of a student. His ideas were very thoughtful, very relevant, and contributed a great deal to the outcome of that strategic planning session. I was impressed with Chris's leadership skills that he immediately came in, began to get to know who else was in the room, who else was participating, began to have an understanding and appreciation of what they were bringing, the different experiences they were all bringing, which is part of being a leader. You need to understand your collaborators and the people that you're impacting, and then it makes it easier to contribute in a meaningful way to that group discussion. So he was able to kind of look at that real big picture thinking, and then how can I implement this to provide a better experience, to provide more leadership opportunities and lead in a different way when I get back to campus and start, and work with my chapter.
Chris is my older brother, and he's definitely impacted my life in so many positive ways. I can't even put it into words. In fact, like, I probably wouldn't be here at Butler if it wasn't for him, and I just look up to him so much as an older brother and a leader here at Butler. He's done so many things that I just hope to one day at least be able to do like a margin of the things that he's accomplished here.
Chris is the person that taught me that leadership doesn't have to be that you do everything, but more that you inspire people. And he's the person that you want to strive to be like.
Well, let me put it this way. I invited 153 people to my birthday. 3 of them were boys. One of the 3 boys was Chris Beaman. I love Chris Beaman! I do too.
Since meeting Chris, he has mentored me and helped me become the president of my fraternity, get heavily involved with student government, and grow into the man I want to become. I think it's safe to say that without Chris welcoming me as a freshman as much as he did, I wouldn't still be here at Butler without him.
Chris Beaman has had a huge impact on my life because of the passion for people that he's demonstrated, and the friend that I see him be to me and everyone else around the Butler community.
I met Chris Beaman my freshman year through orientation week, and he was an orientation guide, and I was just an incoming student. I did not know him personally, but I knew about him, and I knew his involvement on Butler's campus. He is probably one of the most incredible people that I have met on campus. He's not only a wonderful friend, but what he's done for the students on campus and the Butler community, I don't think I've met anybody more deserving of this award, and he's very inspirational. I owe a lot of my commitment and involvement on campus to him.
One thing that really stands out, besides your work with Kappa Delta Pi and all the leadership experiences you've done around campus and your classes, one thing that really sticks with me is how you treat others, and especially how you treat people important to others. There has not been one time when you passed by and not said hi or asked how everybody was doing, and those little things make such a difference in your leadership style, and he was a person.
We both want to say how proud we are of you, Chris, on achieving the Leadership Certificate. Chris, I am personally so proud of you.
No, Chris, I am personally so proud of you. I'm your favorite number 2 mom.
Well, then I'm number 3 mom.
Well, both of us are so happy and proud of you.
Congratulations.
Maybe we could share.